This is a tutorial on how to kind of get started writing songs. And one of the pieces that you need in a song is the chord progression, and then you also need a melody, and you have to put those two together. So I'm going to talk in this first section here on how to actually build a chord progression. To recap, the Western music scale has 12 notes, and starting with A, it's A, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and you're back to A, one octave up. If you notice in that scale there, when I went from E, there is no E sharp, and when I went from B to C, there is no B sharp. So all of those tones are a whole tone apart. So if you go from, if you ignore the flats and sharps, you go from A to B, that's a whole tone. There's an A sharp in there, but we're going a whole tone, or two intervals, two half steps. When you go into B to C, you only go one half step. And that difference is what causes the modes and the scales to be major and minor and all of that. Same with E to F. If you're going from D to E, you're skipping the D sharp and going to E. That's two half steps. From E to F is only one half step. So when you're dealing with the natural notes of the Western scale, that's the notes that doesn't neither flat nor sharp. When you're dealing with those, there's two sets in that scale that have a half step apart, and the rest of them are a whole tone apart. And why that's important becomes more apparent the deeper you go into this. For right now, we just need to know that it is. So we're going to deal with the C major scale, which is all of the notes of the basic Western scale, the 12 notes. It's all the notes that do not have flats or sharps. So that would be A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I've arranged them from C forward because I'm in the key of C. So I laid out a grid here, and I'll explain this. This shows you it's in the key of C. The key doesn't matter. It could be D or F or G. It doesn't matter. It could be an F sharp. This is just telling you that we're working in the key of C. So in the key of C, the root note is going to be C. So I place the root note down here in each case as I build these chords. And then it just counts C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the next note over here would be C on up to the next octave. So how do you build a chord? You take the root note of the chord you're building, and you go every other tone in this scale. So C major, C, E, G. D minor, you start on D, skip to F, skip to A, D, F, and A. And E minor, E, G, and B, because you're skipping the F, skipping the A. F, you start on F, you skip to A, skip to C. G major, D, or you start on G, you skip to B, you skip to C and go to D. So G, B, and D. A minor, you start on the A, you go to the C, skip the D, and go to E. A, C, E. B diminished, which is kind of a special case. You really don't use that a lot in music. You can, and it has a purpose, but for today, I'm just going to get you started on chord progressions and building chords. D, F, and B. For the key of B, you start on B, and you go B, skip a note to D, skip a note to F. So that is the formula. And I'll just show you. This is a C major. I'll just play the chords right up through the scale. So C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. This is what the chords for the key of C major sound like. And after the seventh chord, which is the B diminished, you would simply go back to the C major and back to the 1. So in music, it's pretty common accepted practice that you refer to your chords by the number, and a person just knows that if I say go to the 3, you know that it's a minor. If I say go to the 5, you know it's major. If you look here, I've highlighted 1, 4, and 5 are major. The other 3 chords, the 2, 3, and 6, are minor, except this B diminished. So if you want to know what chord to play, what mode or mood to play whenever you get to the degree, just remember 1, 4, 5 is major. The rest are minor, except that exception. So 1, 4, 5, that's the key. 1, 4, 5 are majors. Okay, so I've covered a lot there. You can rewind, you can pause, you can study the chart, you can look at it. The main thing to get from this section is that you start on the root note of the chord degree. So you're starting on 4, you're starting on F, and you go down here to F. You would start on F, skip a note, and you have an F major. That's the formula. A sixth degree would be A, so you come down here to A minor, you start on the A, skip to C, skip to E. That's the formula. So what about the minor modes? So let's look at the same chart in the minor mode. Key is A minor. I've chosen the relative minor because it also has no flats or sharps. The key of A minor and the key of C minor use the same notes. The chords, however, are different because the root chord is a minor. So what I've done is instead of starting with C and starting on 6 and then going to D and starting on 2 and just making a lot of confusion, I've lined it up by scale degree. So the second degree is B, so on the B diminished, I started with B, and I wrote the alphabet, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Same thing for the 5, E, so I went down to 5, and I started with the E, and worked from there. So same exact notes in the same order, just where do I start? That's the only difference in this chart and the last one. This makes it easier to see how you build the chord. You just skip it and skip it, so columns 1, 3, and 5. Okay, so we have A minor. Notice the B diminished is moved because it's just the way it works out, because you're skipping. These particular notes make a B diminished. It's B, D, and F. Look up here, B, D, and F. See that? So they're the same. So it happens to be a diminished because of the notes that it winds up being. C major, C, E, and G, same as up above. Okay, so that's how you build in a minor key. You arrange your notes, and then you go every other note for the scale degree, and it winds up that you have, excuse me, it winds up that you have major and minor chords also. So here's the kicker. If I'm playing in a major key, I have C major, okay, so the 1, the 4, and the 5 are major, so C major, F major, and G major, and you can see that on the chart. C major, F major, and G major. In the minor mode, the 1, the 4, and the 5 are minors. It's the same as a major, only it's minor. So if you're playing in the key of A minor, the 1, 4, and 5 are minors. A minor, D minor, E minor. The remaining chords are major, except for that special case B diminished. So I'm in A minor. What are the 1, 4, and 5? A, D, and E. Those are minor. The rest are major. Very simple. You're playing in a combo, and the guy says, go to a 4. If you're in A minor, you know it's 4 is a D, and it's going to be a minor mode because of the way that works out. If you just go to a 6, you're going to go to an F, which is the 6th degree, and it's a major because that's just the way it works out. So 1, 4, 5 is your key. In the minor modes, in the major modes, the 1, 4, 5 are major. In the minor modes, the 1, 4, 5 are minor. The rest are major except the special case. That's pretty easy to remember. And I've charted that out here to show you. In C major, you got the uppercase is major. So major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor. In the A minor case, it's minor, special case, major, minor, minor, major, major. So the 4 and the 5 and the 1 are minor, In this case, the 3 is major and the 6 and 7 are major, but the important thing is the 1, 4, 5 are minor because you're in A minor. The remaining chords are major except the special case. So that's, I could say that 16 different ways. It still comes out the same. So we're going to use this stuff here to build our chord progressions. And so the first step in building a chord progression is what are the chords that fit for that key. And this is where this part comes in. So if you get this part down, you will know if you're going to write a song in A minor, you're going to know what those chords are and whether they're major or minor. So in part 2, and I'll probably make this into one video, but in part 2, I'll kind of show you how this is all done. So we'll see you in part 2.